Hey there, it's Diane Forster, and welcome to I Have Today, where we talk about the art of intentional living. This is the show that inspires, empowers, and educates you through life's transitions. And we are continuing our love theme. It's February 2021. And if you saw our show last week, I had on not one, but two relationship experts. I had on Nicole Moore and Jamie Bronstein, and they shared some of their expertise on relationships and love and being single, in couples. And today I am beyond excited to bring on Dr. John Gray, who wrote one of the best-selling books of all time, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And today what we're going to talk about is his latest book, which is Beyond Mars and Venus. So that is today's theme of the show, Beyond Mars and Venus. And we're going to talk to him about why it was so important to do this work now and what has changed over the past several decades. And what we're going to also do is John's going to grace us with his presence during the Mentor Me Minute segment. And that's our segment that you write in your questions to us, either at info@Diane Forster, or you share them live with us on Facebook here on the show. So how would you like to be coached and mentored by one of the most amazing relationship experts in the world? All right, so before I get to my interview with John, first let us share what the intention statement is. And the intention statement today is, I have today to fall in love with my love all over again. I have today to fall in love with my love all over again. Now, whether you're in a relationship or not, this still applies to both. If you are in a relationship and you set this intention and say this, what you do is you invite your love to be reignited all over again. Isn't that amazing? Imagine that. If you're setting that intention and putting it out there and keeping your love at the forefront and the focus, it's going to happen to you universally. You're going to be you're going to attract that love to you. And plus on a scientific level, you're telling your brain, you're giving your brain the command of what you want to happen. And that's such a helpful, useful tip for you. So what we do every single week is we create these intention statements. And my amazing Kelly makes the most beautiful wallpaper. So if you go to my Instagram page at Diane Forster Official, you will see a little button there that says wallpapers. So go in there, scroll, pick the ones that resonate with you. And why not pick today's? I have today to fall in love with my love all over again, and use it as your screensaver. So every time you look at your phone, which statistics say is 150 times a day, you'll see it. It'll start to anchor and it'll start to come true for you. So that is our intention statement for today. So now what we're going to do is I am going to bring on John right now, and John's going to be with me for most of the show. So let's get to it right now. Let's bring him on. Hi, John.
Hi.
How are you? Nice to see you today. Great to have you here.
Thank you so much.
All right. So before we get into the interview, let me share a little bit about you to the audience. John Gray is the author of the most well-known and trusted relationship book of all time, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. USA Today listed his book as one of the top 10 most influential books of the last quarter century. In hardcover, it was the #1 best-selling book of the 1990s. Dr. Gray's books are translated into approximately 45 languages in more than 100 countries and continues to be a bestseller. Dr. Gray has written over 20 books. His most recent book, Beyond Mars and Venus, his Mars-Venus book series, has forever changed the way men and women view their relationships. John helps men and women better understand and respect their differences in both personal and professional relationships. His approach combines specific communication techniques with healthy nutritional choices that create the brain and body chemistry for lasting health, happiness, and romance. He has appeared repeatedly on Oprah as well as on The Dr. Oz Show, Today, CBS This Morning, Good Morning America, and others. He has been profiled in Time, Forbes, USA Today, and People. He was also the subject of a 3-hour special hosted by Barbara Walters. John lives in Northern California, where for 34 years he happily shared his life with his beautiful wife, Bonnie, until her passing in 2018. They have 3 grown daughters and 4 grandchildren. He is an avid follower of his health and relationship advice. Wow, John, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
It's a pleasure, particularly in the month of February, the love month. So I'm happy to be here.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you for gracing us with your presence and your amazing work. You know, I read your book. I got it dog-eared. I got all kinds of notes in here, and I'm so excited to have this conversation with you today. So my very first question to you is, what inspired you to create this work so many years later after Mars and Venus came out the first time?
Well, I've written several books in between then and now, but this is really a rewrite of Men Are From Mars from a new point of view, from the point of view that men and women are different. We have changed quite a bit. Biologically, we're still the same, except we have a higher intelligence. Higher consciousness, higher intelligence means that we have a greater ease in integrating the polarity within us. Traditional culture sort of supported men in being more masculine, women being more feminine, what we call masculine feminine. But today, when you start getting out of a stress mode where you feel responsible for your life, independent, you can take care of your basic needs, your higher needs emerge. And the higher needs is for freedom and emotional fulfillment. Freedom and emotional fulfillment. For women, it was a lot about going to their male side for freedom and independence. And for men, it's more about emotional fulfillment, doing what you enjoy doing. So the challenge is, because of this higher consciousness, we haven't learned how to use our relationships to find that balance. So men tend to go over to the emotional fulfillment, which is addiction, and women tend to go too far to the masculine side, which is independence, being self-reliant, responsible, which is both things are good. I mean, to be emotionally fulfilled, to be free, but how to stay balanced, that's the key.
It's so true. And I know that for me, I've been married and divorced. I've been single for, many years now. And I've had a lot of emphasis on, me and my independence, right? And so I know that there's a lot of that out there, because I think the statistics I read last week were that 30% of people are single, and only 50% of those are actually actively looking for a relationship, and the rest are just content being the way they are. So what are some of the, changes, and why is that? What's happening to us in that situation?
And it's a short interview. So the biology is very, very important of falling in love. The biology of falling in love, wanting to make a commitment. Men need to have basically 10, 20 times more testosterone in order to not be in a defensive posture. And fear, it generates a defensive posture. So men are afraid to commit. And men lose their interest and passion when their testosterone levels are low. And women have a challenge to fall in love and feel a man is good enough for her unless her estrogen levels are pretty much 10 times higher than a man's. And to fall in love, it takes about 20 times higher. And so when women are way on their male side, they tend to be making male hormones, testosterone, and not making enough estrogen on the female side. And vice versa, men go over their estrogen side. Some of the symptoms are depression, lack of motivation, lack of libido for someone they love. You see, for a guy, when he has low testosterone, he can be turned on to a stranger or to internet porn, but he can't stay turned on to someone he loves, because love generates estrogen, and estrogen it's a co-balance. They're like opposite forces. Estrogen, female hormones push down male hormones push down female hormones, unless we use our higher intelligence to find that balance. And I love your work in helping women to learn to, and men, to love themselves, because that's really the foundation of being able to be in an intimate relationship, is to learn how to find love yourself, which might also be said in hormonal terms, find hormonal balance without depending on someone of the opposite sex, Then when you get into a relationship of someone of the opposite sex, you're not so needy and demanding. And something I was watching one of your videos today. I thought, I would get familiar with you. And I love one of your phrases, which was a revelation for you in your healing, which is no one to blame. And for how we feel. Okay, you can blame somebody for stealing your money, for lying to you, for cheating on you, for hurting you, but no one to blame for how we feel. And that's our terrain. It's so important. I think that's why Men Are From Mars hit a nerve, because I'm a non-blaming person. I was a monk for 9 years. I have found my self-realization. I'm a happy person, fulfilled person. If I'm stressed, I just go meditate and I'm fine again. I find my balance through meditation. But then I integrate my balance into the world through intimate relationships. To me, sex is very important. Love is very important. I have all my enlightened monk friends, but they haven't brought it down and manifested into the world. You see, one thing is going to your higher consciousness. The other is applying it into the world, making a difference, and fully enjoying your heavenly experience in the physical body through intimate, loving sex. So these are all like goals that we should all have in intentional living. There's a reason why we're here. And for women, I like often there's two basic intentions in life, and we might call them a purpose. And one is to be happy, and one is to make a difference, simplify. And your show's all about intention, so it was quite fun. One of the ways I sort of remind myself all the time of intentions, little stickers, but and they change. But also I like to look at the clock, digital numbers, and I add them up. If I just happen to be thinking, my mind wanders to a digital clock, I add up the numbers, and the numbers have a significance for me. So today I looked at the clock at 11:01, which is one of my favorite numbers. It adds up to 3. 3 is fun. So I just set my intention today. I'm having fun. Now, this is just a playful game to connect with intention. I do another thing when special numbers show up, like my birthday, 12/28, then, or my anniversary date, my wife's birthday, whatever. I will then, for that time, simply remind myself, okay, where am I going? What do I want? What do I want? What do I want? What's my intention? Because, when you're driving a car, you always have an intention. You're not thinking about it all the time. But so easily we get off of our most important intentions, which is making a difference, be happy, would be one, finishing things up, starting new things, developing your personal power, loving yourself. These are all different numbers that I associate with those. And even when I travel a lot teaching seminars, although right now I'm not, of course, but I would get a hotel room and I add up the number and I go, okay, that's what's going to happen. That becomes my intent. So we can have things to remind us. I love your emphasis on affirmations. And the other aspect of this is I like to look at your background and so forth in terms of some of the pain you felt, because I feel that pain is our greatest teacher. I noticed today that my pants were fitting a little tight. So I will now go on a diet. Otherwise, why not enjoy more food? So a little pain, and it doesn't have to be massive suffering, but it tends to motivate us because particularly we tend to go in the wrong direction. We're going in the wrong direction. There'll be pain. And coming back to the theme, which I love that you said, which is no one to blame for my emotions, is you feel your emotions. And so at that time, one of the things you can change is explore the story you're telling yourself and change it so that there's no one to blame for how you feel. And kind of a summary of that for you, I've heard part of is loving yourself. I just think foundation of loving yourself, because there's times when we look to our partner, we get too dependent on them to make us happy. Then we blame them instead of being primarily dependent on us to find our happiness, or what I would use in the new terms in this book, hormonal balance. Then you don't look to your partner to make you happy, but to make you happier. Nothing wrong with needing a partner to make you happier. Same thing, my relationship with money. I've never been attached to money. I was a monk. I had no money at all. But basically, if you're happy without money, money makes you happier. If you're not happy without money, then, oh my gosh, people go crazy when they start having more money. It's just like, we need to be free to find our happiness within ourselves. And it's abstract for people finding it within yourself, because It could be, okay, I'm just going to go play a game with my kids. That's finding happiness within myself, being responsible to find happiness without demanding it from others.
I love that. So that kind of segues into, let's talk about expectations, you know, and how, why it leads to disappointment. I want to hear your take on that,
Absolutely. Well, disappointment is that you had an expectation and then you feel disappointment. And what we want is to be able to pivot very quickly from feeling frustration and disappointment to readjusting what you want. People just sort of, when they dwell in disappointment, and often they dwell in it because they don't have emotional intelligence. I've written a lot of books on emotional intelligence, gender intelligence, success intelligence, all that. But the emotional intelligence is, if you're stuck feeling disappointment, you need to pivot and change your expectations back to reality. And you've changed them back to the reality when you're happy. And I think once again, Men from Mars was so wonderful because it helped people realize you can't expect a man to react the way women do. You can't expect women to react the way men do. And you can't expect the world to react wonderfully to you all the time. It's kind of a harsh statement, but who said life wasn't fair? That's what people say. And, it's true. Life isn't fair, but I hold a spiritual context that everything's here teaching us a lesson. And if something comes at you, we're putting out something, or we did in the past, and there's always a lesson for it. Every source of pain is a opportunity to feel it, let it go with greater wisdom and greater self-love and love for others. It doesn't mean you want to be married to them or whatever, but it means that you feel good about it. You wish them well.
Mm-hmm. Beautifully said. I love that. And I love your quote in the book that the greatest pain we can experience occurs when we stop sharing our love with the people we love most. Why do we do that? Why do people do that?
It's so amazing that someone will reject us and then we go, oh, you hurt me. But actually, the only thing that hurts is because you reject me, I decide unconsciously to reject you back. Then I go, how many times has somebody disappointed us or rejected us and we withdraw, we pull back? And
yes,
it's the pulling back that causes the pain. It's not their rejection. That's the key. See, that's the primitive brain can't think beyond that. The primitive brain goes, oh, you rejected me, so I feel hurt, because that's a reaction that comes up, or I feel sad, whatever it might be. And then what we do, our reaction is to withdraw, because you did that to me, so you're painful. So it makes sense, if you're living in a survival brain, if something causes pain, to pull away. But actually, as an enlightened being or a more conscious human being, the pain, actually, you go deeper. What's causing my pain at that time? My pain is an expectation that you should always adore me and love me, which is unrealistic. So I have to pivot from that. And then I dwell in that pain and disappointment and hurt. And the reason why it's so painful and the reason we start to suffer is we don't realize the major pain is coming from, now I'm choosing, or maybe I'm not loving. I can't say it's a choice, because most of you can only choose when you're coming from the front part of your brain. And so it's kind of harsh to say you're not choosing to love when people say, but I hate that person. I hate that. We see, whatever you're hating, you're not your true self. You've closed down. So you're actually, when you withdraw, you're hurting yourself. Now, having said that, because you're cutting off you from being you, rather than adjusting, it's not like if somebody cheats me, like I'm going to continue doing business with them. I'm going to wish them well and realize, okay, what were the signs that they were a cheat? Let me try to learn from that. Where was I being too greedy? Where was I unrealistic in my expectations? Tell another story to where you don't feel like a victim. Otherwise, we're all victims. And from one point of view, we are. And from another point of view, we're not victims of how we feel.
So true, right? And we are getting, I'm big on law of attraction too, and all of that, we're getting what we're thinking about and speaking about at all times. And so creating awareness of how that's showing up, and that we do have the choice, in that moment to make a change, to decide to view it differently, feel differently about it, act differently about it. So you just corrected me, and I really like it very much. When I said we actually don't have a choice if we're in a fight or flight response. And when you're in a fight or flight response, you do have a choice to then do some behavior
or some mental process or some self-help technique to come back to your true self. And from your true self, you have the ability of free will. We don't have free will when we're behaving like animals. Everybody knows, for example, in relationships, the worst communication skill, I would assume everybody knows this, is yelling, right?
Let's talk about that.
Well, if you yell at somebody, then they're gonna get defensive. Yelling is an attack. Okay, it's basically blaming someone. You're not listening to me, so I have to yell at you. And somebody's trying to listen to you. Now you yell at them. It's like you're gonna back off. As opposed to if you talk very quietly, then people listen more. If you yell, people listen less and they back off. So that's simple logic. And I think most people have an understanding that arguing and yelling isn't a good thing. Some people still think it's a good thing, but generally my students don't. But they still do it. And why do they still do it? Because we're in fight or flight response. We're no longer in our free will at that point. We're in an automatic programming, just like automatic negative thoughts, automatic reactions, automatic behaviors. They're just reactions. They're not responsive. Reaction is automatic, but we can control that by recognizing I'm having a reaction inside myself. I don't need to act on it. I don't need to buy into it, but I will tend to buy into it until I do something to get out of fight or flight. So for example, most people don't know that when men get angry, their female hormones are surging and their male hormones are going down. And I like to emphasize that because most people don't know that. And most men think
say that again.
When men are angry, just like women are angry, their female hormones are going up and their male hormones are going down. That's why it feels good to women to express their feelings if they're safe. If they feel safe, it will actually lower her stress if somebody's hearing her emotions. And if estrogen goes high, then her stress levels go low. This is proven. When women's estrogen is high, their stress levels are low. When women are stressed, their estrogen is low. Okay, now that's very important. So sharing emotions, talking about them, increases estrogen, and that lowers stress in women. When we don't have an understanding of men and women are different, women will tend to want to ask men questions when men are angry. It's the worst thing in the world. Do not engage conversation with a man when he's angry. He's losing control. As soon as he's angry, his estrogen levels are rising. And if he talks, then estrogen keeps going higher and higher and higher. If he's talking to somebody he's angry with or upset about, it will just go further and further. So what men have to do when they have this telltale signs of emotional imbalance, hormonal imbalance, stop talking, go to his cave. And that was an idea of Men Are From Mars, which is that cave time is therapy for men. Whereas if you don't understand that, then you think he's mad at you. Because for women, they usually, if they're mad at a man, they stop talking and they withdraw. Whereas for men to cope with stress, they have to stop talking. But we're not taught that anymore. We're supposed to yell and scream and argue and fight. It's like we behave like monkeys. You see, when you don't have the ability to communicate, and that comes from the prefrontal cortex, the guide, a higher self. Go all the way back to where we had no higher self and we're just monkeys. Somebody steps on your foot, you go, ow. And then they step on your foot again, you go, ow, ow. And you get louder and louder and louder. Worst form of communication. It shows that we're in the primitive brain controlling things rather than I have today. I'm confident, I'm capable, I'm in love. I love with love of self. I'm responsible for love. There's no reason to blame or hold on to blame for my feelings. You can blame people for what they do, but not for how it makes you feel. That's our mistake in there. And one of the challenges for women is the understanding of femininity, because femininity in the past was based upon depending on a man. And now you don't depend on a man. How do you find your femininity? Well, it turns out if you depend on a man, your estrogen levels go up. But if you're in touch with your need for love, your estrogen levels will go up as well. So you don't really need a man. What you need is the love that a man could provide, or your children can provide, or the world can provide. We need love. And what we do is we fixate. Once we get love from someone, we think we need them. We don't need them. We need love. They can now provide it. And the good thing about I have today is that word I have. I love I have, because when I need love and I have the opportunity to get it, now what I have is pure desire. Desire is the beautiful motivating intention. It's behind the intention is a willful intent, comes from desire. So we feel like this is what I want. This is what I want. And so my intention is to go there, drive there, do that thing. And it comes always from the feeling of I have opportunity. And that's beautiful affirmation. I can have, which is why during COVID, I recommend people do more online shopping just because you feel like I can have something. Shopping has been proven to always raise women's estrogen levels.
Totally. Yeah. Oh gosh, John, this is so good. One of the things that I'm committed to, and if you checked me out, there was a suicide attempt that led to my awakening and the change in my life. And so you wrote in the book that 4 times more men complete suicide while almost twice as many women attempt it, which I know that was on page 82.
Yeah, that's statistics.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Why is that?
Well, men will tend to follow through because we tend to be impulsive into action. Women tend to be more impulsive into exploring the feelings of it, but not necessarily following through. That's why you'll see more violence with men. Women might hate somebody, but they're not going to go out and act on it until they're really stressed out and they kind of plan it. Usually they poison. But men are just, once they get into the monkey brain, they behave like gorillas. And that's why men need to understand the power of meditation, learning how to breathe, come back, relax, have a nut, or anything, go work out in the gym, anything that produces testosterone. Of course, when you read the book Beyond Mars and Venus, you see all these practical things we can do to balance our hormones without depending on our partners. Then we can depend on our partners for higher levels of hormone, which is ecstatic lovemaking. I mean, that's the goal in life. Just like we have a goal to have an abundant life, prosperity, we build towards that. That's our intent. Well, the foundation of making love first is learning how to love ourselves. Second is learning relationship skills. Since relationship skills are so important, because if we misinterpret our partners, then we keep blaming, get caught up in blame, as opposed to realizing correctly interpreting life. We tend to be more forgiving and accepting. But anyway, I was making this point. I just love it, which is you don't need a man. What you need is love, companionship, sex, loving, sharing, caring, all that good stuff. And that's what we need to become conscious of, is what we need. And then when you feel that deep inside, you get in touch with, well, I deserve that. I can have that. And then your desires come from a place of truly what you need rather than things you don't need, like junk food, like excessive entertainment, like being alone for the rest of your life. I love when you said you basically forgot your needs. You got so busy into your needs, wishes, and wants. And it's very important for us to remember that. And I understand suicide as well. I was probably 13 years old and I didn't attempt suicide. I committed it. I just didn't succeed. I drank poison.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
I was trauma at that time. And I'm very dramatic, I'm going to punish my parents. My dad owed me money. He didn't pay me. And I was outraged. I didn't know that he lost all his money in the stock market at that time. So, you're going to tell your kid, I just lost all my money in the stock market. So he couldn't pay me back what he owed me. And I was going to punish him by killing myself. It's kind of like that theme of what we talked about before, is I'm going to hurt you by hurting myself, and then you'll feel guilty. A little passive aggression there. So I learned very clearly, punishing myself is not a good way to punish others. and punishment itself is not a good thing from a relationship point of view.
Wow. It's so true. All right. Do we have time to talk about this? Because you talk about the 3 phases and the 5-day love window. Can you explain that?
Yeah. I'm going to do a very simplified version of it. But for women, see, love is both sides. All right. And after a woman, if she's cycling, after she has her period, for about 5 days, her estrogen levels are starting to rise, which means her needs. She's becoming more and more aware of her needs, but she also has a greater sense of independence at that time. Then for the next 5 days, that's the love window. That's before she ovulates. In order to ovulate, a woman's estrogen levels have to double in order to potentially make a baby. So that's part of a woman's natural cycle. And during that time, her need for support, her need for love and support, companionship, and someone having your back is greater. If that need is fulfilled at that time, she will bond more fully with her partner. If it is not, she will not bond more fully with her partner. And then for the next 12 days after ovulation, she will be looking at what's wrong with this relationship, as opposed to kind of like, I got a good night's sleep, now I don't need so much. So it's like understanding that. So men need to know 5, 6, 4 or 5 days after her period, that's when you start planning a date to happen a week later, because that's when she needs you the most, or that's when she needs love the most. And you can be the guy who provides it, and she'll bond with you more and feel more satisfied and fulfilled in the relationship.
So fascinating.
Oh, yes, yes. Because then after ovulation, we now know that women get PMS quite commonly today because they're making more estrogen than progesterone. Progesterone is you need to make estrogen, but if you don't make enough progesterone, then you feel stressed out. And progesterone is not based upon needing somebody. It's based upon feeling I have what I need and I'm doing charity work. I'm just helping. I'm helping without the intention to get more. So during that 12 days, you have to be very careful, women, that you're balancing that I'm making money. I'm doing this to make money rather than I'm doing this to have fun and I enjoy it and I like making a difference. So there's a thing called social bonding where you're giving back what you received, or you're sort of a philanthropist. You're giving back. You feel you're not giving to get. What happens when a woman doesn't get enough estrogen in her support for her estrogen levels during the first part of her cycle, then there's this feeling like I didn't eat a meal. I'm still hungry. And so now she's looking to get when she gives, as opposed to giving because I've received, giving without expectation of return. And that's a nice balance. See, that's a balance. My daughter Lauren teaches a class called How to Get Your Me Time, which is basically how to fulfill your needs so you're not overly depending on others and therefore blaming and feeling unhappy. So it's all about balancing what she calls we time, which is that relationship intimacy, you time, which is serving the world, making a difference, and me time, which is making sure I'm doing what I love to do. And literally there's a cycle when, as long as women are, they're cycling, it's useful. And then after that, ideally you've learned those 3 parts of your life. So you're never doing too much of one, and you can still follow that cycle as to help you along with the full moon. If the moon is full, that's generally around that's the romantic time. Come on, we know that. That's the time. And then the new moon, that's the time when you kind of pull back more to me time, so forth. So it's wonderful to see these cycles and how we can use them all to remind ourselves, okay, where do I need to go here? What do I need to do here? Because if you're in the cycle after ovulation and you're looking for more from your partner, your estrogen levels are too high. You need to do more what you enjoy to do without being so dependent on them.
Yeah. So fascinating. You know what, John, I would love to have you back. I mean, we're going to move into our Mentor Me segment. And before we do that, I want to say Life Genius commented, great interview. Thank you. I'm learning a lot. So thank you for that comment. And I could talk to you all day long. I love this conversation. But what I'd like to do is, we do a segment called Mentor Me Minute where our viewers write in questions. So we'd like to, put on a question or two and have you as the expert, given this is our love theme and relationship, answer the question. So, all right, Kelly, what's our first question? My husband cheated on me, but we want to try and make it work. Is it possible to build trust after it's been broken? If so, how do I start? This is from Rebecca in Pennsylvania.
A great question, very common. And the same thing is true for women when you have a divorce. Women typically take 9 years before they get married again. For men, 2 to 3 years. Trust is a major issue for women, more so than men. Men can have it, of course, but women, when they're stressed, they go right into I can't trust. Men go into I don't care, the 2 extremes. And if women don't trust completely, then they go into I don't care, I'm done. And for men, they go from I don't care, then I don't trust any woman. So we have extremes, but they go differently. And in the beginning, it's I don't trust for a woman. And what she can do, whether it's ending a relationship, your partner had an affair, so forth, is to get out of the thing of that's the justification for divorce. We have this big deal in this world that, your partner has an affair, then we should all get divorced and destroy our family. And that's a possibility. If your partner's an alcoholic or drug addict, or they want to keep cheating on you or not getting your emotional needs met, it should be more about, can I now get my needs met based upon this trauma that we've gone through and go through the healing? Usually when someone lies to you, which is the big issue here, and you feel like, can I trust them again? It comes back to you need to do some inner healing work, which is realizing that that's the part of you as a child that felt, I don't know why. I don't know why I'm not getting what I need. Something must be wrong with me, and I don't know what it is. It's unwarranted guilt and shame that we then project on our partner and make them so bad. So we need to do that inner work, one. And two, we need to look at, on a practical level, to rebuild trust, we have to see how we contribute to every problem in our life. Otherwise, you feel like a victim. That's why Mars Venus can help people so much, as you can realize, or this new book, how both people contributed to the problem. Because a partner having an affair is a sign that you don't have a great sex life. You're not making love. And that's what kills relationships. That's why you mentioned so many single people today, is they get attracted, they're excited, and the passion goes away. They're attracted, they're excited, the passion goes away. So much because they can't balance their own hormones. So if we can recognize how today we're contributing to the problems in the relationship, why my wife had an affair, why my husband had an affair, if we see our contribution, then you can regain trust, because if I can change my approach, I'll get a different result. See, that's where real trust and confidence comes from.
Oh, such a great answer. Thank you so much. Okay, let's do one more.
Let me acknowledge her for wanting to heal her heart and sustain her relationship. A lot of people just, their partner has an affair and secretly they rejoice. Now I have a reason to get out of this relationship. And that's victimness. Let's work on how to make a relationship better by understanding how I create the problems, not just their behavior.
Yes. Yes. So true. So powerful, right? Listen, that was part of my story, and we were going to get divorced anyway. We were headed down that pathway, and I was in the middle of doing my work and wasn't quite there, and then attracted another man who cheated on me, right? It was like, oh my gosh, I have more work to do. Clearly I have more work to do. So, but yes, but that she's willing to stay and they are willing to work at it. I love that too. All right. We have time for one more quick question. Okay. Even when I have good intentions, why does every discussion turn into an argument with my partner? Okay, Natalie.
Okay, so then, as soon as thank you for the question. It happens to every couple. The escalation of tension only goes downhill. It's a little like you're rolling a ball downhill. It's going to keep going. Yes. It's a snowfall, it's an avalanche, basically. When we have to have breaks, everything, we think communication is the answer to everything. It's not. Love is the answer to everything. Communication, it can be a way to make more love. It can be a way to kill the love. So when you have good intentions, you should have that be my intention here, is to stop this conversation if I'm starting to feel stressed inside. And my wife used to do this with me all the time. She said, John, I don't feel you're coming from your heart. We can talk later. And she'd walk out of the room. I said, no, I'll talk from my heart. I'll talk from my heart. Now that phrase wouldn't work for everybody, but it works for some. But basically a woman can simply say, without any pushing a man's button, if it's getting intense, then she says, look, I need to think about this, as opposed to you need to think about this, or you need to calm down. Well, I need to think about this, and let's talk later. And then what you do is you take your corners and you do something to balance your hormones with the intent, I'm going to come back to feeling open and centered without demanding I'm going to change my partner. And we need to have an attitude that love is not attempting to change your partner, but you can negotiate. But demanding change from your partner is not loving, period. I don't care I want you to call me all the time. It'd be really nice if you call me more often. I love it when you do. And I realize you know that and you do it sometimes. And I really appreciate it. And a little more would be helpful. Soft touch. We get into this. No, you're wrong. Another simple on the surface communication skill when it comes to arguments is, if you're coming from a centered place, then you say, now let's solve this problem. How big of a deal is this to you on a scale of 1 to 10? How big of a deal is it to you on a scale of 1 to 10? Because we're going to have to compromise here. But prior to that, usually when the tension starts, if you understand gender differences, then you say, okay, let's do a Venus talk. And the Venus talk is, let's stop trying to find agreement and solve the problem. And let's take 10, 15 minutes for you just to hear my emotions about it, and then take a time out. Not to hear his emotions about it. We don't want to hear his emotions. He's already in argument. He needs to stop talking. It's a time for her to really be emotionally intelligent and process her feelings without blaming him, but coming from a place of something sounds blaming, then say, now I know this might sound blaming, but this is my stuff. I want to take responsibility for it. I'm sorry I feel this way, but it's what's coming up, and then I'll let go of it. You see, people don't apologize for negative emotions. They walk around with signs and say, we have a right to feel angry. We have a right to feel victimized and everything. No, if you're in control of your feelings. So if you have negative feelings, own that and recognize that, okay, this is what I'm feeling. I like to talk about it, but once you know it's my stuff, it's not about you. And the more we can realize that any negativity is just a trigger of things that happened when we were young and we didn't have this higher intelligence to let go of negativity. We're just a monkey inside, or a child that hasn't yet developed the brain. So it takes over when we're in fight or flight. So stop talking, take your time out is what to do to avoid escalation.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you, John. Okay. Well, we're going to share with the audience. You've got gifts at your site. On your site, marsvenus.com, you're going to share with everyone how to get everything you want in relationships for women, men, couples, and singles at marsvenus.com/gift. But John's got many books, his blogs, his free online workshops at marsvenus.com. So please be sure to check it out. It's going to be in our show notes. Everything is going to be there. All right. So one final question I have for you before I let you go. And that is, John, how do you live the I Have Today way intentionally?
Well, I kind of shared it at the beginning of the show, which is I look for omens. It's not like fact, but what they do is they remind me, okay, what is my intent here? What am I feeling here? Where am I going here? And when I see those magic numbers come up, I focus on, what do I want? What is my intent? What is my intent? Also, I like little stickies. I put stickies up for a download that I get. Today it was listening to you. No one to blame for how I feel.
Thank you so much for being here, for all your beautiful words and wisdom, all your incredible work. I mean, I'd love to have you back anytime. It's been such an honor and privilege to have you here today.
My pleasure as well. Thank you.
Thank you, John. All righty. Take care. Amazing. So amazing. Oh my gosh. I have so much more to say. I have so many other questions. So I hope you all got a lot of value out of that. And what we're going to do now is we are going to move into, before we get into our mantra meditation, which is how we end every episode, we do a word of the week and how to reframe a negative word into a positive word. And Kelly always picks the word. I never know what it is. It's always a surprise. So Kelly, lay it on me. Word of the week is clingy. Okay, you went with the relationship theme. I love that. All right. So what I try and do is start the new word with the same letter that this word starts with, which clingy has this negative connotation, right? That's sort of, it's codependent, right? And so that is you not feeling, it's the word's connection. You not feeling the connection to you, the disconnection of you, like John was just saying, feeling whole with yourself, loving yourself first, feeling that complete feeling with you. And then in relationships, then there's only, even more of it. It gets even better. It gets more enhanced, right? So what if you replace clingy, the word, the feeling, the emotion, with feeling connected instead? And like John shared, do it through meditation, through intention. How he uses it is he pays attention to the signs and the symbols, right? He looks at numbers. He's got Post-it notes, keeping him in the present moment, keeping him aware, keeping him intentional, keeping him connected to himself, his feelings, his emotions, all of that. So, being clingy is putting those expectations on somebody else. Like you don't feel whole and complete without that person. That's your perception. That's your belief about it. So instead, to turn that into feeling connected with you. So when you're feeling clingy, ask yourself, how can I connect more with me? How can I get more connected? Okay? All right, I hope that was good. All right, so what I want to share with you before we get into the mantra meditation is just a recap of the show. The amazing John Gray was on the show. The show we named his book title, which is Beyond Mars and Venus, which I highly recommend you get it. Get this book, whether you're in a relationship or not, whether you're in a new relationship or you've been in a relationship for years and years. There is so many amazing nuggets in here. There's so much brilliance in here. I mean, I took so many notes. Amazing, amazing, amazing. So we'll have a link for that. And then our intention statement was, I have today to fall in love with my love all over again. Okay, I have today to fall in love with my love all over again. And then Kelly, if you don't mind putting it up for the Mentor Me Minute segment that we do, please, you can write in your questions to us at dianeforster.com/mentor me. This is a segment that we do every week where you get to get coached and mentored live here on the show. And hey, you never know who I'm going to bring on. I mean, our two questions today are two women. It was Natalie and Rebecca. Natalie and Rebecca got coached live by Dr. John Gray. How amazing is that? So send us your questions and enter for your chance to get coached live here on the show. All right. So one of the things that we have for you is we're focused on mindset here, mindset and manifestation a lot too. You know, the art of intentional living is just to blend, you know, the physical, tactical, strategic, logical with the metaphysical mindset manifestation, you know, blending the 3D and the 5D world for really, you know, rapid transformation in your life. And I know that a lot of you suffer from limiting beliefs, negative self-talk, mental blocks, you know, self-sabotaging behaviors, right? It's because of what's going on in the subconscious mind. So I created the Mindset and Manifestation Challenge. That is a 6-day challenge. It's absolutely free. That's going to take you on a journey of discovering why you think the way you do, why you're acting the way you do, where those limiting beliefs came from, how you can reframe them and create new limiting beliefs instead, how the law of attraction works, the power of your thoughts, the power of an amazing morning ritual and routine. And then I round out the challenge with an amazing process that's going to be able to take you from limiting beliefs, negative self-talk, to feeling peace, joy, happiness, and fulfillment. It's phenomenal the way it works. So you can enter to get in and register for it at mindsetandmanifestationchallenge.com. All right? Mindsetandmanifestationchallenge.com. Again, 6-day challenge, absolutely free. All right. Let's just take a deep breath, everybody. Let's take a deep breath and then blow it out, because we're getting ready to do the mantra meditation. Okay. This is something that I do at the end of every podcast, and I do it live here at the end of every show. And the reason we do this is we want to take a culmination of everything that we've talked about on the show today, our theme, our intention, the amazing work of Dr. John Gray today, all the brilliance that he gave to us, the questions that came and everything, and allow you this few minutes to just get quiet, listen to the words, let them heal you on a physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, cellular level, so that you leave this show feeling better at the end of it than you did at the beginning. And you can take what you've experienced today and use John's words, use his brilliance, use the answers that you received to the questions today, the guidance that you got today in your life. Live it with intention. Live it with purpose. Be intentional in your life, because today is all you have. The past is behind you. The future's unknown. It's always now. It's always today. And you create that future by how you're living in your present moment. So today, let's focus on the mantra meditation and allow these words to resonate with you. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take in 2 deep breaths, breathe in for the count of 4, hold it for 4 seconds, breathe out for 8 like you're blowing out birthday candles, right? We want that deflated feeling. We're going to do that 2 times and then just listen to my words. All right, so here we go. Uncross your legs. If you're driving, obviously don't do this. Save it for later. But everybody else, just get centered, relax, close your eyes. And here we go. Breathe in for 4. Hold it for 4. And breathe out for 8. Do it again. Breathe in for 4. Hold it for 4. And breathe out for 8. And just listen to my words. I have today to love my life. Something really good is going to happen to me today. I can feel it. Miracles big and small, I notice them all. Yes, 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 thank you. I have today to focus on love. As John said, love is the answer for everything. Love is all there is. Love is the only thing that we take with us. Focus on self-love first and foremost. Love myself unconditionally. Love myself wholly and completely. Love myself for the work of art and work in progress that I am. Love all of me, head to toe, top to bottom, inside and out. Love my dark as well as my light. Love myself to forgive myself for things that I wish I could do differently, could have done differently, but know I have the power to do differently in the future. Love this journey, love this day, love all the love that's already in my life. Be grateful for it and be open to more and more and more. Appreciate myself. Love all my gifts, all my grace, all my beauty, all my desires, all my passions, all my purpose. Just love myself. Loving myself allows me to love the world in a much greater, much more extraordinary way. Loving myself allows me to be patient and kind to myself and others. Loving myself is my birthright. It's truly my birthright. I love myself. And every day I'm going to look in the mirror and tell myself I love you. I'm going to be kind, gentle, patient, loving. And so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Love on you. Love on your partner if you're in a relationship, and if you're not, intend to attract the right love for you, the perfect partner for you. Understanding that each and every day that love can grow stronger and stronger and stronger. And by all means, please get John's book, Beyond Mars and Venus. And get Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus as well, if you don't have that book. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and my podcast at I Have Today with Diane Forster. Follow me at social media at Diane Forster Official, and check out my website at dianeforster.com. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next week, Monday, 11 o'clock a.m. Pacific time. Take care. Bye-bye.